why I am no longer on the left, even as a lesbian. And yes, I'm going to read what I wrote down because it's quite a list. It has been maybe half a decade, maybe even more, that I've decided to leave the left, and this is why. What I have observed is that the community pretends to fight for inclusivity, diversity, and freedom. But I've seen with my very own eyes for years now that realistically they fight for one-way thinking, the demonization of specific groups that are other than them, and the cancelization of freedom of speech. They say they care about human life and people who are victims of war, but advocate for the killing of the most vulnerable type of human life form in existence.
A lot of people are actually leaving the left. And how can we blame them? We see the wickedness, we see the craziness, we see the hypocrisy, narcissism that is going on within the left. The left literally has went way too far left for me to keep up. When I started noticing that I did not have an opinion on the left, that I had to identify with the left because of a race or a gender or a sexual preference, or anybody that has these type of categories have to identify with the left, it kind of started to make me feel like, okay, well, this is a cult. Why can't I have a difference in opinion? Or why can't I say anything that actually makes logical, realistic sense? Simply because I identify with Democrats. It just didn't make any sense to me. Especially when, COVID hit. I don't know if I can say the word or not, but we're just going to say COVID, the jab. When that hit and everybody had to take the crack scene, I thought it was very suspicious. Like, this is an experiment. And so why do we have to get this substance injected into our bodies and nobody knows as if it's actually legit? Now we know 5 years later, people are dropping dead from it, from heart attacks on the football fields and heart attacks at school from taking the jab. I'm glad that I did not take it. Actually, I had a lady at work tell me yesterday that she passed out at work, and they said that it came from the scab, So yeah, that completely turned me off from the left, along with a few other things like trans kids and medical transitioning children, and just affirming care for the little ones and not having to tell the parents that their children are trans, and just a whole bunch of nonsense that was going on the left that I really just could not vibe with, and then it makes it no better what happened on the train with that lady, what's happening with all the illegals setting the lady on the train on fire in New York, the illegals shooting up ICE. It makes it no better with the situation that happened with Charlie Kirk. I think, honestly, it wasn't a last straw, but that's a straw that I know for a fact I would never go back. As long as the left is going in this direction, I could never be a Democrat again. I don't see the left coming back to the center whatsoever. I think that is going to continue to go far left to the point where we probably won't have no America. But I'm going to let her continue to cook. Before we do that, before we hop back into the video, you guys make sure y'all thumbs up the video, like the video for the algorithm so that it can hit more people, and subscribe to the channel if you like the content. And without further ado, we're going to continue. Let's go.
They fight against the legalization of guns, but cheer when guns are used to assassinate a man who simply had a different opinion. They cancel free speech under the label of hate speech, when often enough, it's not hate speech, it's just speech they hate. Not to mention the complete lack of self-awareness to go from saying somebody is speaking hate speech and follow up with saying some of the most disgusting and degrading things to humans I have ever heard. Don't even get me started on the GoFundMe that was made for the murderer of that innocent girl. There have been too many examples of narcissism, manipulative abuse, gaslighting, closed-minded and anti-growth promotions within the community that I'm very proud to say that as the first letter of the LGBT, being gay does not automatically mean that I have to share the same sickening, in my opinion, views as the left. Why would my sexuality, gender, race, or anything for that matter have to do with where I land politically?
Wow,
and quite honestly,
true.
I hear more LGBT members complaining about being misgendered than any other actual hate crime happening in the world. If being misgendered is your main point of how you're being oppressed in this country, I would consider you to be very privileged, because there are actual, real issues that need healing in the world more than your gender pronouns. My mind, body, and soul knows where love is, and I do not feel that in the community. Yes, there are positive and negative on both sides, but overall, I have been my most mentally healthy, happy, and filled with self-love person since I decided to think more for myself and not allow others to dictate what I should and shouldn't believe in order to fit their agenda.
Oh, wow. I definitely have to agree. Literally, ever since I left the left, y'all, I have been at so much peace. Like, I'm working out more, I'm thinking for myself more, I'm not worried about what others are going to think about me if I have this opinion. My biggest concern, voting red, is getting attacked by somebody who's on the left. That's my biggest concern. I don't have any problems with anybody who is conservative. Anybody who is a Republican, they see my hat, or I just tell them my stance, my political views, my stance on politics. We have the greatest conversations, even some great debates, It's always a lovely debate, a peaceful debate that I have with people that are on the right. It's never, oh, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're a this, you're a that, because you disagree with me. It's well, I understand what you're coming from, where you're coming from, your points of views. In my opinion, I think this way. Let me know what you think about that. And it's a genuine, respectful dialogue that I have with people on the right. But it's not like that with the people on the left. I felt bound. I felt like I was in shackles. I felt like I was actually in slavery for real, being on the left. So I definitely understand where she's coming from. Your race shouldn't determine if you are conservative or liberal. Your sexuality shouldn't determine if you are conservative or liberal. Or your gender should not determine whether you are conservative or liberal. Unfortunately, the left has bullied the world to choosing. And telling you, if you are a black person, you're Democrat. And I have grown up all my life because I'm black. My grandparents have told me black people vote Democrat. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm a Democrat because I'm black. The government taught that to them. They taught that down to their children. And unfortunately, I was a victim of being taught that I'm supposed to be a Democrat. When I became an adult, all this stuff started happening. Then, of course, I started to gain my own beliefs, do my own research, and I realized, the Democrat is the devil. They are demonic over there. Even from the beginning of time, they were the party of Jim Crow. They were the party that did not want to let slavery go. They were the party that did not want to let segregation go. It was the Democrats. And a lot of people, they can't physically keep you there, but if they can mentally, they will. But that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to throw any shade to any specific types of groups. But, yeah. Let's continue.
It is getting painfully obvious now that no one is going to be fucking with that energy anymore. And you guys are about to lose a large percentage of your community. I'm already seeing it everywhere online. Hopefully this is a wake-up call. You all need to look inwards. There's no shame in realizing maybe there are some things inside of me that need to be looked at and healed in order to be the best version of myself, and also, therefore, better for the people that are around me.
I want to grab your attention with my cat here. His name is Happy. He's very cute. And then continue to hopefully hold your attention while I tell you about why I left the left. And this is more specifically for people who are still, kind of in the middle. They don't know whether or not they should leave because they've heard a lot of demonizing language about moderates and about right-leaning people. And I want to tell you now, if you are one of those people who's kind of worried about that, people are not sexist, racist, homophobic, transphobic just simply because they are moderates or right-leaning people. There might be some, but I would say even that there are many on the left as well. So I want to give you some solace. If you don't feel like you fit there anymore, it's okay to leave. You're not a racist, a sexist, whatever. So I guess here's my story. I used to be super progressive. I was in high school known as the classroom feminist. I was very Black Lives Matter, very anti-gun. In fact, I was so left-leaning that I said, we need to get rid of all the guns. We need to have a buyback. because I didn't think about the nuance and the culture that we have in this country, right? Or the reason why we even had the Second Amendment. I didn't care. I wasn't going to listen. My brother was pretty right-leaning, and it was, I'm not going to talk to you because you're hateful and you're saying hateful things. That does not lead to healthy discourse, though. And I kind of got a taste of my own medicine, actually, when I was going to community college back in my hometown of Reno, Nevada. And there was somebody who came in to give a presentation in this class about LGBTQIA plus people, but more specifically transgender, because this was when it was really starting to step out in the public eye. At the end of this presentation, the person said, "Does anybody have any questions?" And I raised my hand, and I virtue signaled, "I'm totally fine with trans people. I understand they're just people trying to live their life. I don't care." I have heard a lot of people who are anti-trans, though, and I was wondering, what is a way that I can talk to them about it? Is there any science that backs up the existence of transgender people? And if there's not, that's okay. I'm just curious. And the person looked me in my eyes and said, "Yeah, that's a good question." And then went on like a 3-4 minute rant. Did not pay any attention to me after this, but talked to everybody else in the room. This is what we call cis privilege. And continued on. And then after that whole spiel, she then looks me in my eyes, in my eyeballs. At that time, I was only 2 eyes, not 4 eyes. She said, "Did that answer your question?" And I said, "No. I just want to know the science behind it." That's not to say, like, again, if there's not science, that's okay too. I just want to know. And she said, "Oh," and then started the rant again. So I was like, oh, yeah, she's telling me to shut up and just accept it. Love that for me. But I started to see other things that really made me concerned. I used to believe in this whole, you could be obese and healthy. Not true. You can be obese and do healthy things like going on walks, but doesn't mean you're healthy, you know? Or there were just a lot of things. What officially made me just leave was hearing that people are actually medicalizing children because they're trans, including giving them vasectomies. What?
Yo, for those who don't know, I'm from Atlanta, the home of the gays. The LGBT movement in Atlanta is very broad, is very broadcasted, and is very popular in Atlanta. Everybody in Atlanta is either gay, knows someone that's gay, is bisexual, hang with the gays. The gays have completely taken over Atlanta, to the point now where I see children who are gay. It had been a couple of years ago, probably about maybe even 5 years ago. I was still on the left Sunday morning, and I seen kids, walking to the bus stop. I seen little boys with crop tops on. I seen little girls with their pants around their ankles. It seemed like the roles have switched. And, so me being me, the friendly individual person that I am, I stopped to talk to the kids. Like, good morning, what's going on? Like, how y'all doing this morning? I started asking them. I said, well, y'all gay? Y'all trans? I genuinely wanted to know, like, what was going on in their heads for the boys to, have the nails, and I'm saying this, they couldn't have been no older than like middle school. These kids were like 11, 12, I would say somewhere between elementary and middle, probably middle. Oh, when I was in middle school, the gays in middle school, they was regular gays, it was a little feminine guy, it was a little feminine boy, probably raised by his mama, his grandma, something, whoop. But no, these guys, these young boys, they were having crop tops. They had their nails done. They had weave in their head and everything at the age of 12. And I'm like, oh my goodness, So it definitely made me question the Democratic Party, because I know that they push this type of stuff. And when they started saying that, if your child is gay or have gender dysphoria, 9 times out of 10, they're born in the wrong body. Just go ahead and chop their breast off. When that happened, that was probably the last straw for me on the left. I experienced that. I have friends now to this day back home in Atlanta who have had mastectomies. The procedure where you get your breast chopped off. I have several friends who have had that procedure, and I have several guy friends who have, had the procedure of getting their their man parts chopped off. They are on now estrogen, and my lady friends who are now trans men, they are now on testosterone, and I see a lot of it going on, and it's being passed down to the children. That was it for me. So I think that I disagreed with it, and because I disagreed with it, which a lot of people actually do, but because I said something about it, I was demonized. I was persecuted. I was canceled. Nobody wanted to talk to me. It's like, how could you're black, you're supposed to be for... No, ma'am, my race should not determine what common sense is. And because of that, I just had to leave the left. I really did. So I definitely understand where this young lady is coming from.
You don't let children drink, drive, smoke, get married, do it, but they are mature enough to know their own bodies, to transition, right?
They're not.
And then we do this fear-mongering thing that, well, would you rather have an alive daughter or a dead son? What? That is awful. But you start to see things like that, right? And this is where true violence comes in, when you stop talking. Charlie Kirk even says this.
He did.
And I realized that I didn't want to be a part of that group anymore, who would just immediately shut people down just because they're not going to conform to your worldview. And, also starting to see, like, having trans women in women's sports. There's a reason we had these categories separated. It wasn't a bigoted thing. It was to give, an equal shot. Because we are different. We are different. You wouldn't be a trans woman if you weren't different. And that doesn't mean that I hate you. It doesn't mean that I don't accept you. You're a person doing your person thing. I don't care. You're a person. And so I left. I left because there was too much of walking on eggshells and having to switch up the language so much. What is this thing? I fact checked this and I found it to be substantiated. Inseminated person? Excuse me? Excuse me? How dehumanizing. How dehumanizing. I just calm myself down. Right? Turn back to the Lord on this. But that's why I left. I was angry a lot. And I was looking at people as all these things without looking at the nuance of people. And that was really gross of me. And again, I'm moderate, although I have been thinking with this murder of Charlie Kirk, I don't know if I can stay moderate. I went to the Charlie Kirk vigil here in Eugene, a very liberal city, which was another part of me being like, wait a minute, this is crazy, because this is leftist central. No offense to anybody, maybe crazy is not the right word for that. This is me having to walk back my language. That's something I learned from being on the left. Crazy. My mom recently called me bigot. That's fun. Love that for me. But I went to that vigil, and a large majority of those people, I would assume, are MAGA. I didn't feel in danger. There was mourning, but there was a lot of love, and there was a lot of connection. And you see people of all skin colors there, men, women, like everyone was there, and it didn't matter, right? We were just being people. We were just people being people. And that's what I've noticed between the difference of left-leaning and right-leaning. So right-leaning people are just people being people, and left-leaning is you need to make your social currency by, like, for instance, my social currency is I am a bisexual woman. That's two things, right? Bisexual and a woman. That puts me in a lower class. But I'm a white woman, so that puts me in a higher class. It's kind of weird. But also then you have to look at, I grew up in very low income to a mother who had me when she was a teenager. So that's a thing. And also my parents didn't graduate high school. So you just have to go down this rabbit hole to prove yourself worthy of being in this movement and being able to have a voice. What you need on the right-leaning side is just to be a person with an opinion, to have a voice.
Yep.
So maybe I just talked myself into it here. But I hope this provides some sort of view into what it's actually like outside of the left. I can just exist, man. I don't have to prove myself worthy to people, If I didn't have to prove myself worthy to Jesus for the ultimate sacrifice, then why should I for people? Anyway, I love you all, absolutely. And I loved hearing this, that Jesus loves you more.
Listen, I love you too. I love you too. I love you for giving your opinion. I love you for being so bold about leaving the left. A lot of people are actually scared to say, hey, I can no longer identify with the left, because you have went completely bonkers. Like, I can no longer identify with it, So it was very bold and courageous for that young lady to to express to us how she felt, and I totally agree with everything that she said, and we love you too.
I've seen videos of just the left being pro-unaliving political opponents, whether that be Trump, J.D. Vance, people celebrating what happened to Charlie Kirk today. It's just disgusting behavior. The fact that I have been a part of the left for 7 years, I never thought we'd get to the point where I would have to look at my own party and be like, oh, hold on, I can't support you anymore because everything that you are doing right now is against your political viewpoints and your values and beliefs. To sit here and promote gun violence against your opponents is wrong. And it arguably makes you worse than the other side, because you're basically saying these people deserve to be unalived because our political beliefs are more important and should stand and should have more value than a human life.
And that's crazy, because we've seen that happen with Donald Trump. We've seen that happen with the other political person that happened, a female, I don't know her name. We've seen it happen with Charlie Kirk, John F. Kennedy. You know, when you have a difference in political views, then they want to off you, and that is crazy to me. And it's always people who are left-leaning, who are non-conservative beliefs, to have to be persecuted for their political views. It's just crazy to me how the left is always anti-gun unless it's somebody that they don't like. And that is just foolish to me. If you're going to be anti-gun regardless of who says whatever. I personally disagree with being anti-gun. I do believe in the Second Amendment, protecting myself, protecting my home, my belongings and stuff like that. Whatever I can protect, whatever rights I have with the Second Amendment, the right to carry, I believe in that wholeheartedly and totally. And you come around here messing with me, some things going to go off. I totally believe in that, and the left just doesn't. It only matters in certain circumstances. They have selective outrage over there, and I can't get with it. If we're gonna be mad at this person for doing something, if another person of a different color does the same thing, we have to be mad at that person too. And it's just not like that over there. It's not like that over there. But let's continue.
Ooh, yeah, that doesn't sit right with me at all. No.
Nope.
I have been voting Democrat for as long as Charlie Kirk was alive.
Big thank you to Republicans, conservatives, MAGA, independents.
I'm not buying into what they're selling, because after what we saw yesterday, I'm actually glad that they pulled that yesterday, because people like me got to see an evilness there, got to see a diabolical side of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
I just came here to announce my official divorce from the Democratic Party.
The reason I am so critical of the Democratic Party right now is because I literally just left it.
I am not going to vote Democrat anymore. I did leave the left because I was getting sick and tired of their behavior.
Going forward after today and seeing how liberals and leftists and Democrats are acting towards this, I am never voting Democrat again.
I just want to say, unfriend me. Seriously, unfriend me. I don't want any Democrats or liberals following me, or I don't want to be friends with them anymore.
Since leaving the Democratic Party, I no longer have an depressed mindset.
Yes.
I hold myself accountable for my actions.
Yes.
I'm closer to God.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I cannot be a part of a party that's doing that, because that's not a party. That is a cult.
That is a cult.
Oh my God. I've been a Democrat all my life. All my family been a Democrat all their life. And this BS shit with Charlie Kirk and everybody acting stupid and don't care about this man's life and his family life, I'm done with you motherfuckers.
Ask myself, which political party has made my life worse? It's not the Republican Party. Locally speaking, the Democrats have complete control, and they have nearly destroyed my family's livelihood.
Okay. Kind of put the nail in the coffin of me being a Democrat. I was slowly moving away from it anyway because I was noticing certain things.
Wow. People are literally leaving.
I've been dreading making this
People
video
are literally
because
leaving.
I know I'm going to get hate comments, especially from the left, and Nobody likes hate comments online. I used to proudly call myself a liberal. I still believe in equality, healthcare access, LGBTQ plus rights, definitely science and social programs. But I've grown really tired of the performance, the fear-mongering, and the refusal to have real conversations. I don't want to be here to scream or cancel or shame somebody into agreeing with me. I believe that we need to listen to each other even when we disagree, because change doesn't happen in an echo chamber. I'm not switching sides. I'd say I'm stepping out of the label. I'm an independent, logic-based thinker who's done letting political parties define my humanity. I'm still progressive, but I care more about the truth than tribalism. You can fight for justice without losing your critical thinking. If you want to argue, go talk to somebody else. But if you're ready to listen, then I'm all ears. Not everything needs to be red versus blue. Like, for example, here's some things that I know we can agree on. Our healthcare is broken. You shouldn't go bankrupt just because you got sick in red or blue states. Big corporations, for example, have too much power. They lobby both parties, and working people end up paying the price. Veterans and the elderly deserve better care, period. No excuses. Mental health matters. It's not woke to want trauma support, for example, especially for kids and veterans. The middle class is being squeezed by inflation, housing costs, and endless debt, which is just not sustainable. We need civil liberties. Your right to speak, worship, protest, own property, and make personal choices. I think another thing that we could agree on is that we both need to protect democracy, which means fair elections, checks and balances, and yes, accountability for every party. And this is the one that's going to piss you liberals and you Democrats and anybody on the left off. Nobody should be hated for how they voted. Basically, what I mean by that is no one should be sliced for asking questions. I'm not here to hate conservatives. I'm definitely not fucking here to blindly follow liberals. I'm here because I want to bridge the gap and speak truth and hopefully make this country less divided and a hell of a lot smarter. And if that makes me hard to categorize, then good. I just don't want to associate myself with a party that is screaming into the void. I don't want to associate myself with a party who doesn't understand that productive conversations mean something. If you guys really wanted change, you wouldn't be sitting here calling every fucking conservative uneducated idiots. Conservatives are capable of having conversations, and for everybody on the left to accuse them of just being incapable of that, you're not making any changes. You're not going to have productive conversations. All you're going to do is push people more to not understanding your points. If you're trying to come at somebody with something that you know is a fact, don't insult them about it. You say it's hard to have conversations with conservatives, but it's the way that you approach them. And it's associated with the left now. The left is just like these angry fucking people who can't have conversations as far as the conservatives are concerned.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's been times where I tried, as a person who is more so independent now, likely voting red because the left is just way too far left. When I would try to have conversations or even debates with people who are on the left, they were just extremely rude, dismissive, disrespectful, aggressive, wouldn't debate because they couldn't debate. And I've never had that problem with somebody who was more so right-leaning or also independent, conservative, people who are like in the center or on the right. I never had that problem with those type of individuals. It's always the people who are on the left that gives off this negative energy. It's never something positive. It's never a healthy debate, a healthy discussion. It's always very disrespectful and dismissive, and you can't go further. You can't move forward with that type of mentality, moving like that in life, just kind of dismissing everything that offends you or that does not align with your political views. How can you come to a agreement or get on one accord, or even to agree to disagree if you don't even have a respectful dialogue with one another. And the left just doesn't think like that. I got tired of that. I thought that was very foolish, and why can't I speak on this specific subject when I have an opinion? So you're telling me I have to think this way simply because I'm on the left, or simply because I'm a black woman, or I'm black, or I'm a woman, or I identify with this, or whatever the case may be. You're telling me because I have these social contributions in my life, I have to stay silent and I have to just agree. No.
Parties, but I sure as fuck don't want to be associated with the left anymore. I want to be able to make real change and have real conversations, and I'm not going to get that done by calling myself a liberal.
Leaving the Democratic Party was one of the best decisions I ever made. Y'all, I still got chills. I just hung up with one of my friends. We have not talked since election time. She didn't like who I voted for. I didn't like who she voted for. So we went our own separate ways. So I haven't talked to her since like the end of last October. Y'all, tell me why she just called me. Breaking down, crying. I'm like, what's wrong? She was like, I encountered a demon last night. So she said she joined some type of left group on Facebook of other people with the same political beliefs as her. They get together, they go protest together, XYZ. She said last night they got together to go celebrate the unaliving of Charlie Kirk. So y'all, she said they got to the one of the people's house. They was sitting there drinking, chilling, smoking. She said they was sitting there like talking about how they was happy that he was unalive. She said she got this weird feeling in her chest like, y'all, this is not right. We should not be talking like this. She said one of the guys from the group, she said his eyes turned black. He got up, rushed her up against the wall, had his hands around her neck, telling her it's right. He got what he deserved. She'll be next. Harris will be president. Y'all, she said it looked like it was a literal demon coming out of him, y'all.
It was.
She said her first thought was to just react and say, you're right, I was just joking. She said because the other people in the group was just standing there like, yeah, you're right, like, you better agree that he got what he deserved, y'all. She said when she left, she said she played it off, stuck around for a little bit longer. She said when she left, she got home and started praying so bad. Y'all, tell me why she said she started spitting up green stuff. She said she got that out of her system like it was the worst thing she did, y'all. Wow. It's like she want to hang out with me tomorrow, but a part of me is scared. I don't know if all of those demons is fully out of her.
Don't be scared, friend. I mean, she called you for a purpose. Obviously you have something in you that she doesn't have in her, and she's looking for that. And to be honest, it might just be the Spirit of God that you have in you that she needs to encounter. For the people who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, that's not godly at all. That's just totally evil. That's very demonic, and yeah, she needs to be around you, friend. So I don't know, I'm pretty sure you're not going to see this video, but go hang with your friend.
Democrats lose 2.1 million registered voters. Republicans gain 2.4 million registered voters. This didn't happen by accident. It's because the left has gone too far left. They've pushed all the moderate Democrats to the right. It's insane, but hey, it's good for us.
This, you have the right to leave your party. Your party has lost the plot. It has completely gone insane. It has no idea from left to right, up from left morally. It is justifying the most heinous acts ever. And just because they hate Trump, they literally will agree with anything any of the leftists, any of the puppets say. Anything that's contrarian to Trump, they will agree with. So again, I'm sending out the lifeline to any of you leftists, any of you common sense people that say, hey, you know, this stuff's a little bit weird. I don't know if I follow any of this stuff, but you're kind of on the edge. Trust me, come to the conservatives, or just stay out of politics even. You don't even have to be freaking conservative, honestly, because the level of craziness that I'm seeing from the left, it's like spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. I mean, you see all these unalivings, all of these tea attacks that are happening domestically, and this is happening on the left. No conservatives are doing it. I mean, they're trying to force it. You know, freaking Jimmy Kimmel said MAGA did, you know, unalived Charlie Kirk, and they're trying to push the narratives, and they're trying to do this. It's just not working. People are not falling for it. So it's time to jump ship. And yes, the conservatives will catch you when you jump.
Okay, so there's people in the comment section of my last two videos saying, this is why I'm leaving the left, and then they're popping up on my feed. And here's what I have to say about that. Whatever you're looking for on the left, you will also not find on the right. So if you steeped yourself in blue ideology, Democrat policies, and we're like, this is the way, this is how we change America, don't go do that on the right side either. I'm here to tell you. What you're looking for is actually peace. And that is not going to come from a political party. Do not go, you know, I bleed blue, from I bleed blue to I'm MAGA. Do not do that, because you will be sorely disappointed that the puppetry is happening on both sides. And so you will be disappointed because your leaders will not do what you think they are going to do, or what they have lied and said they are going to do. You are looking for Jesus. I'm telling you this right now. You are looking for the peace of Jesus, whereby no matter what happens in the world, you don't get riled up. You're not on an anxious wheel. You don't let everything that comes out of Fox News bother you. You don't let everything that comes out of MSNBC bother you. In fact, you spend more time reading your Bible than watching the news. That is what you're looking for. It doesn't mean that you're ignorant to policies. It doesn't mean that you're ignorant to what's happening, but you are not putting your trust in chariots and horses, which is what we do when we make politicians and a Democrat or a Republican our gods. They are not our gods. I promise you guys. Great. If you had this negative experience and you're like, wow, my friends and my family, and I see these politicians who are leftists are celebrating, you should feel that is morally reprehensible and spiritually bankrupt. You absolutely should feel that about people. Yes, there is something wrong with people. They are celebrating death of any kind. By the way, if you consider yourself on the right and your family members celebrated the death of George Floyd, also morally reprehensible and also spiritually bankrupt. Like, I would question their Christianity, right? I would question whether or not they're really Christians. So we have to, it's tempting to go from, I'm leaving the left because I'm seeing that this is a morally bankrupt side of the aisle, to the right side, which is also morally bankrupt in very different ways. Instead, go to Jesus and say, you know what? Let me get to know Jesus. And then when I vote on things and when I have a worldview, I'm having the worldview from the mind of Christ and not from the mind of a Democrat or not from the mind of a Republican. When I said in my very first video that I made the Charlie Kirk ex Candace Owens, I said that as you get older, if you're wise and if you actually know Jesus, like if you don't know Jesus, this doesn't apply to you because you don't have sanctification, you don't have spiritual discernment. So you still think that we're fighting flesh and blood. But as you get older, you start to realize, oh my gosh, we are fighting, principalities. And so they want me to say certain things because it fuels this war. Both sides, right? It fuels this war. But when you know Jesus, you can say, okay, I can see that. So you're not voting or you're not acting from a place of ignorance. And that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to be voting from a place of blindness, and we don't want to be in place of violence.
Align with before. And there are so many reasons why I left the left, but one small reason was because of identity politics. The minute that I saw Christopher Reeve as Clark Kent transform into Superman, I knew then. The minute that Prince Adam held up his sword in front of Castle Grayskull and turned into He-Man, I knew. I wanted to be Punky Brewster. I wanted to be Rainbow Bright. I wanted to be She-Ra. I loved Care Bears and My Little Pony and Fraggle Rock. I knew. But I also remember not wanting to vote in the 2008 election because I was starting to become keen to a lot of the identity politics that were at play, and it would have been the first election that I would have voted in. On one side, my very, very evangelical Latino parents who were Democrats were saying very crazy racist things about Obama, which I didn't like. But then I was also seeing things on the Democrat side championing this man as a new face of civil rights. And quite frankly, I just was so sick of the fighting. And this was before Benghazi. I wanted Hillary. But instead, we saw how things went. And I'm sorry, am I on glue, or was I the only one really paying attention, at least for the first 4 years of his presidency? How everything was about identity politics after that. So that everybody got compartmentalized and put into boxes. It wasn't like that before. And the truth here is, after 9/11, the next few years, despite the fact that we had Bush as our president from 2000 to...
The death of Charlie Kirk has actually fundamentally changed the rules of the game, at least for me. I actually have never uploaded this type of content specifically to this TikTok page, and I'm actually resurrecting it because of the death of Charlie Kirk. Because back in 2020, I used to be on the other side. I voted for Joe Biden back in 2020, and then 4 years later, I voted for Donald Trump. And it's insane to me that a political party that says that they have my best interests in mind as an African American are willing to go to no end to destroy not only the things that I stand for, but the things that I believe in as a Christian, as a husband, as a father, and as a fellow American who loves this country and believes that the United States still is and has the potential to be the greatest nation on the face of the earth.
I totally agree. America is the greatest nation in the entire world. I also believe with the lady who said you need to find God first. I think that that's what happened with me. I found God and I realized, the left is just going way too far left. When I think of God, I think of nature. When I think of God, I think of science. If science and nature don't align with God, then they don't align with God. I'm sorry to say that, but science, nature, and God are all in the same category. It doesn't contradict each other. If it's godly, 9 times out of 10, it's nature, and science is nature. I believe all that. I believe that men can't be women and women can't be men. I believe that children shouldn't be allowed to make decisions on what their gender are and if they should get constructive surgeries to alter their gender because of their feelings. I just believe those type of things, and I just couldn't identify with the left. Then we're gonna wrap it up. We've seen a lot, and yeah, you guys just let me know what y'all think. Let me know, are you one of the ones who have also left the left due to the left going way too far left? If so, let me know down below in the comments what y'all think. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.